I think the thing that was most disheartening about the way we lost Game 5 wasn't just the fact that we got blown out. I mean, we got blown out because of this, but it was just the sheer regression in terms of our style of play, in terms of our preparedness, in terms of our heart and effort. It has fully regressed back to how it was in the Pelican series last year. Round 1 was very impressive. I thought it was the most impressive series Terry Stotts has ever coached. I thought he finally figured some things out, finally learned some things, and was finally able to get this team playing the style of basketball it needed to play. Some of that was OKC giving Dame too much space, some of that was Dame being superhuman, but I thought Terry Stotts did a very solid job. After watching Game 5, all the questions that I thought that he had answered for me are questions yet again. Now I'm just going to go through some offensive possessions from the first half. Gonna go through what I saw that was such a problem for us. Now I have almost every offensive possession from the first half, even misses, which is something rare. So I'm able to really go through this in depth. But before I get into the offense, first off, our focus, our decision-making, and our effort were really bad. This play is a perfect example of it. I don't know why CJ was driving 1-on-3 and then trying to jump pass backwards, and then we really struggled to contain on defense. We get lost, a little focus, and leave a guy wide open under the rim for a layup. That was a perfect example. And then here's another example of just getting out-hustled. We have 4 guys around the ball, and Torrey Craig still gets the rebound and the putback, and a silly foul showing a lack of focus. We did put Canner on Millsap to start the game, which I don't mind Terry Stotts experimenting defensively because Millsap has killed us, but it didn't work, and Terry Stotts took far too long to switch off of that. But I think what's so frustrating is that our offense is almost 100% pick and roll, handoffs, and isolation/post-ups. Here we have constant possessions of pick and roll and handoff action. Here's extremely frustrating. Al-Farouq Aminu has a wide open cut to the hoop. Instead, he fades for 3, and he's been awful from 3 this series. He could have gotten a layup inside if he actually rolled to the rim. But I mean, just watch how many possessions is just pick and roll, which Denver has been covering very well, and Dame is seeing 2 defenders, and he doesn't really have an option to do anything productive off of it. This is exactly what we saw in the Pelicans series. Another pick and roll, Dame trying to go downhill, ends up having to take a tough contested fadeaway 2 while everybody else is standing around and watching. I mean, it's just so much basic pick and roll or handoffs with really nothing going for it. Now, I don't mind these sets somewhat here and there where a pick and roll offense, but when it's all we run, and Denver's guarding it really well because they've seen so much of it that they've gotten used to covering it well, then we need to have something else we can go to. We do score off of some of these plays, but in the long run, over the course of a game, we ended up consistently having to settle for very tough shots, and our style of play offensively was just not good. And then here, we love running that guard screening for the big man, but there was too many times where we ran the same set 2 or 3 times in a row. At this point, settling for pick and roll offense was just not working for us, and ended up with guys just trying to settle and go in one-on-one out of the play. I'm not slowing down the footage or really going through each play because most plays are exactly the same. Pretty much all these possessions that I've showed you so far is just basic pick and roll or handoff action. I'd have to say it was probably 75% of our plays. If it wasn't that, then it was either one-on-one post-up or isolation, which I don't mind posting up Canner here and there or posting up Rodney Hood on Jamal Murray. But when our offense is 95% one-on-one or pick and roll / handoffs, it's going to get easier and easier to guard as a series goes on. There's no creativity there. Terry Stotts was brought in because of his offensive capabilities as a coach, yet this is what our offense is. In the first round, we were running 2-guard front, bringing up the trapping defense on the pick and roll and quickly swinging the ball and moving the ball to take advantage of that. Our ball movement in this game was absolutely terrible. Pretty much the only time we were able to consistently attack the rim and put pressure on Denver was when we were running in transition, but we don't look to do that enough. There was 5 times in the first half where we really looked to push in transition, and we got a bucket pretty much every single time. But far too much, it was just walking up the ball and settling for a pick and roll, or just throwing it into the low post and hoping somebody could score one-on-one. This possession was probably the most ball movement we had, but look at where all the passes take place. It's all around the perimeter, it's all in one area. There's 4 guys on one side of the floor until Hood clears out, and we end up with Dame coming off a handoff. All that ball movement resulted in yet another handoff, and Dame hits this three, but it's a contested pull-up three, a very tough shot. He gets bailed out by Denver fouling, but consistently getting these types of looks aren't going to win you games unless Dame goes superhuman like he did in Game 5 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Expecting Dame to do that consistently in order to win us games isn't fair. This right here might have been our most productive set, and all it is Curry running around the arc and then feeding a screener. I don't see any UCLA cuts. I don't see any productive zipper cuts. I don't see any curls around screens where guys are actually able to catch the ball around the free throw line around 15 feet. Most of the curls have them fading out to the three-point line. I mean, there's no ball movement. There's no cuts putting pressure on the defense with guys cutting towards the rim. This has been a problem with the Portland Trail Blazers for the past few years, and we had stretches this season where we really figured it out, and yes, part of that was due to having Yusuf Nurkic, but with the talent that we have, if we can't run a more productive offense than this without Yusuf Nurkic, then yikes. I mean, so many of these possessions, just one pass and then throwing up something from the mid-range or from three. This was probably our best possession, but it's still basic pick and roll, Dame trying to split defenders, and Denver getting lost when CJ McCollum relocates. It was just frustrating seeing the same offense again and again, especially since we made some improvement in round 1, and I thought this was going to be a lasting improvement. I hope that simply showing you guys these possessions and just telling you what I'm seeing is able to help you see what I'm seeing. I mean, if you can't see how basic and unproductive our offensive system was in Game 5 by now, then I don't know what to tell you. I wish I could find a stat that shows how many times we shot the ball after only 1 or 2 passes or even no passes, because it had to have been at least 70 to 75% of our possessions. And honestly, I think that has a lot to do with the coaching. I know many Blazer fans hate when I complain about the coaching. They think I do it too much. A lot of Blazer fans love the coaching. But all I've seen is that the coaching staff at times is able to put together a good offensive game plan and get the offensive system working well, where there's ball movement, player movement, and things like that, which help us win games against tough teams. But that always seems to regress into what we saw in Game 5. And that's part of the reason why it was so frustrating for me watching that game on Tuesday. The other part was just the Blazers getting outworked and out-hustled. And Dame has been an offender in this regard. I mean, this pull-up 3 is a bad shot. I don't mind this shot if he's hot, if it's at the end of the clock, if he's hit a lot of threes, or if it's a 2-for-1. Like, there's situations where this is a good shot, but when he's cold, when it's contested, almost blocked, very early in the shot clock, that's not a great shot. And I can even understand that he shot very well on these shots, so maybe you live with one poor shot. But Dame should have been reprimanded for his effort getting back. Gary Harris is able to run down the court while Dame doesn't even hustle to get back, and it results in the Blazers fouling. Dame gave absolutely zero effort to get back on defense. Another thing that Dame has given little to no effort on this series is boxing out. His guys consistently been able to crash the boards, with Dame just watching the ball go up and not boxing out. But that's not just Dame, that's the entire team, and that's been the entire team since Game 2. And that's another thing. We're really not able to improve our defensive rebounding from Game 2 to Game 3 to Game 4 to Game 5. I mean, either it hasn't been enough of an area of focus, which I blame the coaching staff for, or it has been an area of focus and the coaching staff isn't able to get through to the players in that regard, which at that point, that's both of their faults. The coaching staff for not being able to effectively get through to the team, and the team for not being coachable, and even though things are being pointed out, still not giving the extra effort to do the little things like box out. So anyway, that's just what I saw in Game 5. That has me very disappointed in the team and the coaching staff. It has been a very successful season. I know Nurkic is out, but I expect more out of this team. We have a lot of talent. I think we're as talented as Denver is. So it's very frustrating seeing us play the way that we did on Tuesday. Hopefully we're able to fix it for Game 6 tonight. If not, our season is over. The thing is, we were so bad in Game 5 that we have a lot of room for growth. We'll see if we're able to fix some of these things and hopefully get a Game 7 in Denver. If we're able to get to a Game 7, who knows? We still might be on our way to the Western Conference Finals. I'll still try and be optimistic until our season is over, even though what I saw in Game 5 brought me to levels of disappointment that I had in the first round last season. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as you possibly could. I hope that I showed you some things that you didn't see. I hope that I was able to make sense in terms of why I really really disliked our offensive system. And yeah, that's all I got for now, true Blazer fans. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your evening, because that would mean the Blazers are doing something good in Game 6. So anyways, I'll see you later. Peace out. Go Blazers.